my name is Nicole, also known as Nikki Vegan, and in today's video we are going to be doing a cook with me. So we are going to be making my throw it all in fried rice recipe, and this is one of those recipes where it's super customizable, forgiving, very easy to make based on what you have on hand or what you like, and it's really packed with veggies, even though it tastes like a big comforting, bowl of takeout fried rice, because it has a lot of good stuff in there, but it's perfectly seasoned, and again, you can kind of customize it based on what you like. So really convenient when you have a lot of odds and ends you want to use up in the refrigerator, freezer, pantry. You can literally throw it all in, and that's why I call it my throw it all in fried rice recipe. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to Thrive Market for teaming up with me on this video. This is one of those recipes where even if it's been a while since you've been to the store and you don't have a lot of fresh ingredients on hand, you can still make this recipe just with a couple of pantry staples and frozen veggies. So I love to get my pantry staples on Thrive Market because they have guaranteed savings, and you can shop by over 100 diets and values. Plus right now I don't have a car, so instead of having to lug, cans of beans and a thing of olive oil, like heavy groceries like jarred tomato sauce and stuff like that, I can just have it shipped to me instead of having to lug it back home. So I get to skip the line at the grocery store. So it's super convenient and I save money on top of it. So if you want to check out Thrive Market, there is a link in the description box below. You can sign up for 1 month or for 1 year, and when you do, you will save 25% off your first order and get a free gift. So click the link in the description box and let's go ahead and get started with my throw it all in fried rice recipe. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set my pan to medium-high heat, like a 7 out of 10, and then I'm just gonna put in my raw cashews and let them toast up and get really nutty and golden brown. This just enhances the flavor, and I really like the texture as well. If you don't like cashews, you can do something like peanuts, or you could do some sesame seeds, but I think cashews works so well in this recipe because they're kind of buttery and creamy and just like slightly crunchy, which I think is perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and add, where did I put them? Right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and add half of a cup of raw cashews directly into the pan. No oil, nothing like that. You can just put them directly in. And I like to give the pan a little bit of a shake, and that way the nuts won't burn. It just kind of keeps them moving around in the pan so they get evenly golden brown, but I don't have to like flip every single little cashew, I'm just gonna toss them around for like 2 minutes until they're golden. All right, so I normally use 2 large carrots for this recipe, but these are a little bit on the smaller side, so I'm gonna go ahead and use 4. This is a very forgiving recipe, so if you have 3 carrots, you can throw it all in, it's gonna be fine, but roughly 2 large carrots worth is good. And I'm not even going to peel them or even really chop them, because I'm gonna just throw this into my Veggie Chopper, and that way this will be ready in a couple seconds. You do not have to have a food processor to make this. You can easily chop all the veggies by hand. Sometimes I do that, but I find that having the little chopping tool just makes this incredibly quick. So all I'm gonna do is just take off the ends and chop it into large chunks, and then I can let the chopper do the work for me. Ta-da! Chopped carrots. And I'm not even gonna rinse out the chopper because I'm gonna do the onion as well. This is 1 small onion. Take that out. The carrots and the onions are the hardest vegetables going into this fried rice, so I like to give them a little bit of a head start. This is going to cook for like 3 to 5 minutes, and it's also going to create a really flavorful base for the fried rice. So the onions kind of caramelize a little bit, and they add a really delicious depth of flavor to the overall dish. So that's why I start with the onions and the carrots, and then they kind of soften a little bit, and I add the rest of the veggies. So while this cooks, I'm just going to go ahead and chop up my bell pepper, and that will be the next thing that I add. All right, so this is just gonna cook for another minute or so, and in the meantime, I'm gonna take some shelled edamame out of the freezer. I'm just gonna pour some hot water on it and let it sit, and that way it will thaw, and it's gonna be a really pretty topping later on, which I will show you. But I wanted to point out as well that if you don't have bell pepper on hand, or you just don't feel like using it, you can substitute any vegetable that you like. I think the bell pepper adds a really nice freshness to this dish, but if you wanted to use zucchini or yellow squash or even sauteed mushrooms, that would be amazing as well. So again, you can totally customize this to your flavor preferences. I add in about 1/2 cup of frozen corn and 1/2 cup of frozen peas. Now, a lot of times I use leftover cooked rice, especially if I batch cooked rice or if I made rice the night before. This is a really great way to use up the leftovers. Today I have brown rice, but you could do quinoa, you could do white rice, you could do farro. Any grain that you like will work really, really well. And I'm also gonna do some cauliflower rice. So I'm just gonna add in 1.5 cups of my cooked brown rice as well as 1 cup of my cauliflower rice. And then I'll go ahead and season this with about a tablespoon of everything but the bagel seasoning. The one that I'm using doesn't have any added salt, so if the one that you use ends up having salt, you can just reduce some of the tamari that you're gonna use for the sauce because you don't want it to be overly salty. And then I go ahead and I sprinkle in 1/2 teaspoon of dulse granules. Now this is basically just dried seaweed and it's finely milled so that you can sprinkle it, and I love to put this in fried rice because it adds a nice depth of flavor, but it's also really good sprinkled on top of sushi bowls, or I put it in my chickpea tuna as well. So this is an optional ingredient, but it's really, really tasty and it's a good source of iodine. So I love sprinkling this into all kinds of dishes, especially fried rice, and I do about 1/2 teaspoon, and I get this on Thrive Market in case you're wondering. And then we're gonna go ahead and stir that all together and add in the sauce. Now honestly you guys, a lot of times I don't even measure this. I just drizzle the tamari and the sriracha and all of that just directly into the rice. It's super easy, but generally I do about 1.5 tablespoons of low sodium tamari, and then I'm gonna add a tablespoon of maple. This isn't gonna make the fried rice sweet. This is just gonna help to kind of balance these salty and savory flavors that we have going on. And then I'll add one of my favorite ingredients to cook with, which is some toasted sesame oil. This adds so much flavor, but I really like to do this at the end so that it doesn't cook too much, because this is one of those that can get a little bit bitter if it cooks on a high heat. So I like to go ahead and just use this as a sauce ingredient right towards the end when I'm kind of putting it all together. And this adds a really nice kind of nuttiness and savory background flavor. I just think it is one of the most important ingredients in the whole thing because it really amps up the flavor and is super, super delicious. And then I'm just gonna finish with about 2 teaspoons of sriracha. This comes together in just about 10 minutes, so it's one of my favorite recipes because it's packed with veggies, it's super fast, and it's really flavorful. But we're not done yet. I'm going to just add a few more finishing touches with the edamame, which is not only going to help it look really beautiful on the table, but it's also going to help to round out the meal so we have a good balance of carbs, fiber, healthy fats, protein, all that good stuff. There's so many vitamins and minerals in this meal, and so I love having that kind of finishing touch of the edamame on top. Product. I love how there's so much going on. There's so many different flavors and textures and colors. It's literally like a rainbow on a plate, and it smells so good. So I had to be very patient because I needed to make sure that I got, you know, the video footage and the photos and stuff for the blog post. So it's finally time. So cheers. I love how it's a super savory, kind of like salty fried rice, but it's not greasy. Like a lot of takeout fried rice can be super, super greasy. This one is packed with veggies and you don't taste the cauliflower, which I think is really cool because you have that added veggie in there that you wouldn't even really know. So if you have people in your home who hate cauliflower, this might be a good way to kind of like gently introduce that vegetable. But I love how it's like really, really fresh from the fresh scallion, and that bell pepper really brings it to life. And then the edamame just makes it feel a little bit more hearty, again with that like whole grain brown rice too. And it's not too spicy. It's nice and salty and savory, but balanced with a little sweetness too. I really think you guys are gonna love this recipe. I can't wait to see your recreation, so make sure you tag me in a picture on Instagram. I'll put my Instagram and the blog post for this recipe in the description box below so you can make it at home. And if you wanna check out Thrive Market, the link to join is also gonna be in the description box. If you wanna see more Cook With Me videos, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up to let me know that you enjoyed it, and hit the little bell notification right next to the subscribe button so that I can send you an alert whenever I post a new video and you never miss out on any of my future recipes. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.